Hey, hello! This is Optimistic Podcast. Here we talk about mobile apps building and the ways how to turn your digital product into the working digital business. My name is HOLLAND. I am ex-developer turned into product manager with 5 different apps launched in the App Store and more than 100,000 users all around the globe monthly. This episode is supposed to become your go-to guide on how to build your mobile app from the ideation process up till the launch on the App Store, and most importantly on how you can earn money from those. I have a slide deck here with almost, I would say, 30 different slides, and I will try to wrap up as much material as possible into these 20 minutes of video. So please do not forget to subscribe, and we are getting started. If you're watching this video, that means that you are currently considering, or maybe even already consider, creating your first app. Possibly you do have the idea of that, or maybe you're just thinking about the ways on how you can launch your new business or expand the existing one. First of all, I gotta say that before we proceed with any next steps, I'm really a fan of testing the new hypotheses and creating new ideas, but here I'm gonna be mostly focusing on the ways on how you can make your app profitable, which means that we are not going to be creating the new ideas, we're not building the new Airbnb or the revolutionary idea, but we will be trying to consume the smaller part of the market here. And that's what our podcast episode is going to be about today. Before I proceed, please do not forget to leave your comments and feedback in the section below, and again, do not forget to subscribe. This will help me find out what would be the best topic for the next video and also what you're interested about the most. So first of all, just as I've already said, your app should not be unique. It's always much better just to consume a smaller part of the existing market than trying to create a new one and possibly fail. Obviously, we do have the successful stories of, again, Airbnb, maybe Instagram, maybe any other platforms, but the story and the backstory of that is the fact that all of those have been built on the basis of the existing project. Even Instagram was created based on several alternative photo and video storage apps as well. So do not fail and do not misguide yourself saying that your idea is going to be revolutionary and going to change the world. In the section about ideation process, I will tell a little bit more about how you can define the steps and build your idea based on the existing project, and basically still like an artist. I'm gonna be fair with you here. So even the latest 3 apps that I've launched on the App Store within the last year are not unique. They do possess some uniqueness, they do have their own ideas, but basically all of those been the attempts to make something already exist in the market better. So for example, I've had the Minute Lore, the application for the micro-studying or the creativity studying process, and basically that was a thing that helped improve the currently existing online courses and online platforms. The same with Lunara, which is basically the dream interpreter, and my main goal here was just to help people understand better their process of sleeping, the way how they sleep, what dreams they get, etc. So I was not creating something new, I was mostly researching the market, trying to find out what's going on there, what are the trends amongst people, and what can I improve. That should be your go-to strategy when you start. And before we talk about the process of developing or even ideation the mobile app, I would like to showcase you a pretty fancy example I have here. So technically, let's say you have decided to invest into the real estate market. So currently over the North America, the middle price for a middle range house would be approximately $300,000. Again, I'm not included any post taxes or any additional coverage, etc. This is just what you are paying for the house that would be pretty fine and ready, for example, somewhere in Dallas for the rental right away. So you are paying approximately $300,000 and your rental price per month, if you start passing this to rent, is gonna be approximately $3,000, maybe $4,000 at the best. At the same time, you're gonna be losing maybe $400, maybe $500 every single month just because you'll need some expenses on the utilities. You will be spending money, maybe not that often, but still quite oftenly, for different renovation services, etc. And again, different people living in your house are possibly gonna be damaging that as well. So you are constantly losing your money, and it's not only about earning. And again, you are dealing with the real estate. As for the return of investment period, it's gotta be something like maybe 6 years, maybe 10 years, and both of these values are quite positive, I would say, because I do know the examples when people invest into the real estate were not even able to get their money back during 15 or 20 years of owning the property. If we're talking about the mobile apps, the thing is a little bit different. Obviously, that's a completely different domain and the times have changed since in the last 10 years, but basically the trick here is that to develop a finally working mobile app, which is going to be a simple prototype or just a simple minimal viable product, you will need something like $5,000, maybe up to $10,000, not more. Even the latest app I've developed, it costed me approximately $7,000, including the coverage, including the App Store optimization and all the additional efforts. So that's not a lot to agree. It's approximately 30, maybe even 60 times less than buying a real estate property. As for the monthly income, usually according to the income passages of the App Store, you're going to be able to get approximately up to $1,000 per month. Obviously, that's a little bit less than when you're renting or providing the rental property for rent, but hey, you're not losing any money. The only thing you are paying for here is just a standalone app support, and again, you're not obliged to do this. And also you are paying for the development account once a year with a price of approximately $100. So here you're losing no money, and even if we apply the most pessimistic approach here, I would say that the return of investment period is going to be approximately less than 1 year. So here you have quite an obvious explanation to the question, why do you need to start creating mobile apps? Why you need to try investing into those? Because even if you will learn how to create the apps easily and with saving your money and resource and capacity, you will be able to create, I don't know, maybe 30 different apps with the same price that you would pay for the real estate property. And at the same time, the monthly income is going to be just gargantuous. So that's definitely something we should talk about. But now you might ask the direct question, how do you actually make money out of your mobile app? So obviously it is not something new, and we're not talking about the e-commerce or cryptocurrency or anything else. The mobile apps have been with us since 2010 when the first iPhone has been introduced, I suppose. So that's not something new, but the monetization models have changed dramatically since then. So currently we have 3 main monetization models. The first and the most common one right now is freemium. That's basically when you get the free version of the mobile app on the App Store. You can use some basic functionality of it, but then you gotta pay for the subscription or for the one-time payment to get access to the full subscription and for the full functionality as well. Here I would say that all of my applications work exactly in the same way. So we have the subscriptions, there are different tiers of these subscriptions, and you are able to get different types of functionality based on the subscription you purchase. Another thing we have, it's the app advertisement or app ads. This thing works mostly for the games and also some brain, logic applications, etc. Something that's not really time consuming, but usually again that works mostly for the games because there are many different iterations the customer is going through using your app. For example, several different parties of the application, several different games they are playing within one opening, and you are not able to provide something via the subscription. For example, if that's a simple balls game or a Tetris or something similar, while they have different attempts, they are restarting the game quite oftenly, but they do not need to pay for subscription to get anything like an access to this game. So again, App Store advertisement works pretty fine. You can enable it, but I would say that this is mostly if you're developing the games or something when you need a lot of iterations over your product for the customer. And finally, we have the thing called pay and play. That was the most popular model of monetization when the first iPhone came out, when the first App Store version was out as well. Well, you've been basically paying the initial amount of money to get your application, and then you've been able to start using it whatever you want, whenever you want, and anytime after the purchasement. Currently, this monetization model does not really work at all, just because, well, people are still open to buying something, but they are not your recurring customers anymore. They've paid just once, and they are not really interested in coming back. They do have access to your app forever. So I would like to say that you should not consider using the pay and play model anymore. Of course, if you're not maybe a Minecraft or any other big company and big product providing the services where a person is gonna just pay once. That's something that could work. I would say just look at the subscription direction, and that would be the best approach for you. You're gonna be earning the most amount of money out of that. And here is another fancy thing I would like to pay your attention to, is the token-based model. Technically, I would say that this model appeared less than a year ago, possibly, when the ChatGPT and OpenAI platforms appeared on the market. So the trick here is quite simple. Basically, you are able to purchase a specific amount of actions or a specific amount of app features you can perform multiple times. I have a pretty fancy example here in my presentation. So one of the most popular types of applications that's been literally storming the App Store over the last couple of months, maybe even half a year, is the AI girlfriend or AI partner applications. Basically, the idea here is that you can set up the criteria and parameters for your imaginary girlfriend or imaginary friend, and based on the AI model, for example, ChatGPT or something else, that would be responding to you, talking to you, maybe even sending you some pictures, etc. But the perfect model here is that, for example, you get 200 messages per day for free, and then if you want to keep talking, you gotta pay more, for example, via the tokens or via some sort of the coins, or just via the amount of messages. So this is not really a subscription, this is not really pay and play, because nobody asks you to pay right away here. But if you wanna use the application at maximum effort and get as much as possible, well, you gotta be constantly paying for it. That's quite an interesting monetization approach, and I would say that that was mostly introduced because of the OpenAI API protocol, where you are paying for each request as well. But you can also consider implementing this subscription model into your app and just take a look at how it goes. I would say that there is not a lot of analytics about how these things work, what is the best approach here, etc., just because it was not tested pretty well so far. But you can still give it a try and see how it's gonna work for you specifically. Just as I've already said, you gotta be really careful about your idea on the market, because if it is not there and if you cannot find your idea on the market already, well, technically it can be difficult to implement, or maybe somebody has already tried to do it but never succeeded. So just for some statistics, approximately 100,000 applications are being launched onto the mobile market, specifically the App Store, every single year. And even though your idea can be incredible and awesome, etc., I would not agree to the fact that nobody has come up with that yet. So you should just look for it thoroughly, make sure you search enough, and again, if you're not finding it, well, possibly something is going wrong with your idea here. Maybe it's really impossible to implicate those, or maybe another problem here is that it's not really relevant to the market at the moment. Usually when the idea is the brainstorming, when it's storming over the App Store, you're gonna find it right away in different variations. Even this example I showed you about the AI girlfriend, well, currently you're gonna be able to find at least, I don't know, 30, maybe 50 applications like that, just via a simple search request. You can even train yourself. You can open up the App Store right now. You can pause this video, try looking for something like AI girlfriend, AI partner, imaginary friend, etc. and take a look at how many applications like that you're gonna find on the App Store. Because this is something that's gonna help you, and this will allow you to understand how to look through App Store for your ideas better. And we are moving forward. Here we have four main ideas and suggestions I would like to provide to you when you are creating the idea of your new app. Obviously, again, you might think that this is the best app in the world, that's something you gotta work thoroughly with, etc. But just make some tests before. First of all, you should always build your apps in one domain, and you should think about this domain thoroughly before you get started. For me, this domain was the educational technology or ed tech. I realized that I have quite a decent experience working with the tutoring, with running the lectures. I've been a lecturer at the Kyiv Polytech University, so I did know how the teaching process works. And as a result, being the products for productivity, for the micro-learning, e-learning, etc. was the best domain for me because I knew how it works. For you, this can be something else. This can be some logic games, maybe some esoterics or mystical products, something like, I don't know, forecasting or predicting the future, etc. Or maybe some data analytic apps. So again, this all hardly depends on your expertise, on your understanding of the domain, because even if you're not a technical person, well, basically, if you do understand how the domain works, you're gonna be able to develop the app pretty easily, and you're gonna be the main showrunner who will make it till the end and make the product work perfect. So again, look for the trends and make sure that, again, your app is on the App Store, and it is really necessary for the customers right now, because sometimes, unfortunately, we've had these situations when the app seemed to be perfect, it was really good, etc., but it was way ahead of its time. And the real demand for the app began maybe several years after. So before you start putting the money into your idea, or even putting your time, which is an investment as well, just make sure that your product is really demanded on the market and people are looking for it. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. And finally, the most important thing you have to consider is that iOS and Android trends are not the same. The products that are currently popular on the iOS are different from the Android devices. Mainly this is because of the target audiences. The people who are using iOS are different from the ones who are using Android. The second category of people are those who like to experiment. They are ready to compromise the experience of the usage with regards to having the ability to create something, to play around with the operating system, etc. At the same time, iOS is about set it up and use it as is. And that's a serious difference, so when you're exploring through different applications and different markets, do not try to replicate the success formula for iOS app into the Android market, because it's gonna be totally different. Simple example I have here, we have developed a digital planner application a couple of years ago, and that was focused mostly on the iPad and Apple Pencil devices. At the same time, we have tried to make an adaptation towards the Android devices and Android tablets, and we have even made the first version, but it was never successful, just because there are not a lot of tablets on the market that would support the stylus and Android system at the same time, and there is no such a culture of using the stylus with Android tablet at all. So that was not the demanded market we've been trying to aim at. We have realized that in time and we have stopped this project. We are currently only focusing on the iPad component and on the iOS devices. The same works with the iPads and iPhones, for example. So please make sure that you are not trying to replicate the same product onto the iPad, for example, if it was designed specifically for iOS. The customers are different and they are trying to make different things as well. Be careful about it. As for the research, there are quite a lot of fancy tools and things you should learn and improve your research process. So here we have 3 different applications. I'm using those the most, and usually I have somebody on my team who does this as well, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do this on your own when you're just getting started. So we have App Annie, AppsFlyer, and Adjust. These are the 3 mastodons on the market of app analytics. Basically, if we're talking about App Annie, that allows you to get all the possible data about the mobile product, including how much money it earns on the weekly, or monthly, on annual basis, how many customers it has, what is the main applied domain, when was the last update made, etc. So basically, you can combine a list of the competitor applications to the one that you are going to develop, put it into the App Annie and see how it works on the further basis and if it's really worth it creating the new application. Because sometimes, even though I'm saying that it is a good approach to take a piece of the market can be just overloaded and you will literally not find enough fit to jump into this market at all, because there are way too many applications like that. So be careful, try to play around with these apps, find some time. They all provide some free trials and also pretty simple and cheap free tier subscriptions as well. So if you want to proceed with those, just take a look at a couple of tutorial videos. I think by the moment when this video is out, we will also have a specific review of these different app analytic platforms. So if we'll have it, I will apply the link somewhere in the description. So hopefully you'll be able to take a look at it as well.